Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, John Donovan.
Hey, Marty Keller.
Good to see you. Welcome to the Intentional Living Podcast. This is an opportunity John and I have to share with whoever's listening in on the dealing with the phenomenon of how to break patterns of behavior, compulsive behaviors that we say we don't want to do and we end up doing them anyway. Or conversely, we say we don't want to do something, or we say we want to do something and we don't do it.
Right.
Uh, I find myself dealing with both of those probably equally frequently. Uh, I need to take the garbage out. Now I'll do that tomorrow. I need to do my taxes. No, I'll do that tomorrow. So that the procrastinator in me
Right.
is that has that compulsive behavior to not do what I consciously say I want to do. So this is a human condition. We all have this challenge. We have behaviors that seem disconnected to our conscious thinking, our conscious minds. And there's a reason for all of that. And this is what we discuss here in the Intentional Living podcast. And not just the reason, but more importantly, a way to manage that, a way to be with it, a way to transform it, and to be able to move ourselves from having seeming like much of our lives are run by some hidden force inside of us that we have no control over, to move into a place where our conscious mind is in alignment with what's going on inside of us in our subconscious mind. This is the intentional living practice. This is what I learned from you, John, in not just in one-on-one, but in the group settings where we do most of this work.
Hmm.
And what we want to, we said we would last week we were going to talk about some of our intentional living principles, and we have over a dozen of them that we've identified. And these principles are just, as you'll see, they're just sentences, they're statements that illustrate some insights about, first of all, maybe our humanity, maybe about our behavior, maybe about the way out,
Right.
and and
Prompts
so
prompts to engage and grow or
exactly,
learn, become teachable. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm going to well, before I put the principles up on the screen to share with everybody, anything that you'd like to say as by way of introduction?
No, just that I'm glad to be back here again talking about this thing that I would nothing else I'd rather be doing. Oh, except for being with my grandson and my daughters and living my life in this way I find myself living my life. This is my passion and my what I call my charge or what I'm my fulfillment, what I'm doing in life that's fulfilling.
Cool.
Yeah.
And just so that those of you who might be new to this conversation that John and I are having, just so you might be interested, that there's a podcast about what John just said about the end purpose of why we're doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's to live a life that we intentionally choose. That's why it's called intentional living.
Correct.
What a concept.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the screen share here with our principles. And in a second, the document will show up on the screen. And I want to point out when it does that the first couple of them we've done podcasts on in the last couple of months. And if you'd like to check those out, there's a podcast on the first principle here, which is I'm always getting what I want. And there's one on the it's never about the other person. Um, so we're not going to unless there's something that pops into your mind, John, about these two. We can refer people to the previous podcasts. But these are the principles, as
Yeah,
John
let's do
said,
that and get to the
right. So these are the principles, as John said, that illustrate what we're doing here, our insights about our not only our behavior, but about our psychology and about the liberation, using the psychological mechanism that's already in all of us that will become make creating the life that we want intentionally possible. So the next the next principle is, and these are not in any particular order, by the way. That's why they're bullet pointed. It's not like the first one is the best one or the most important one. It's just a list. The next one we have is the issues, not the issue.
Yeah.
How do you read that one?
Well, it's an absolute statement, which begs argument right off the bat. It's like I say, the issue is never the issue, and somebody's talking to me about a dilemma they're in with either their partner or their landlord or their friend, and they're going, well, wait a minute, what I'm talking about this person did, or this financial thing, or this relational thing is the issue. And then we start a dialogue. So if the issue is never the issue when I'm not acting proactively for myself. Okay. The issue is never the issue. And if I'm acting proactively for myself, I'm not stuck on the issue. If I'm not acting proactively and I go over it and over it and over it, there's something internal with me that I'm not seeing or knowing or recognizing that is making this issue helping me avoid something else inside me. I have this thought in my mind, what I mean, contesting thought. This person did this person said that, and next time I'm going to say this, or this person said that, and there was rude, and I go over it again. This person said that, and if I say it, if I think about it 3 times without resolution, without me going to, oh, I see my part, or oh, I see that they were in a space and forgiveness, and I'm not acting proactively for myself and engaging in my life instead of obsessing about this thing that happened. What I'm saying is the obsession about what this thing that happened is a avoidance technique to avoid what? Something inside me I'm not aware of. Let me give an example. A client comes into my group setting, something happens, and there's an interchange, and I go home and think, well, he said that, this guy's this guy's that, and I'm laying down trying to go to sleep, and I'm contemplating this, and I go, oh, wait a minute. There's something I'm doing that I'm not recognizing that I'm covering up. So what is it for me? And if it's something like with a client that comes into a meeting, and I'm talking about where I work at the outpatient treatment facility, there's an element of control or me being right that I'm trying to cover up. So I'll go to, okay, is this in my behavior? Is this behavior? Could it be I'm controlling? Could it be excuse me, avoiding something? Could it be I'm using this situation to look good? Am I posturing? So I go internal, and for me, it's usually something about control or being right. So I just go to what we call the tree, and say the truth, or what the behavior I'm in, which is obsessing over this issue without coming to a
sorry,
resolution.
so in other
I'm
words,
controlling. Nice deep breath. Something.
so in other words, you state the issue, what the issue actually is.
Go ahead. Right. Which is I'm controlling. I'm trying to control something,
Exactly.
or look good, or be right. One of those. Okay. So if I go, oh, I have a need to be right. Okay. Okay. So there's something in my subconscious, unresolved childhood trauma. And it doesn't necessarily have to be childhood trauma. It could be preteen trauma, teen trauma, trauma in my early, I don't, something back there that's stuck in my subconscious, unresolved feeling tone, unresolved trauma. So in this process, I'm controlling, addresses what might be feeding the behavior. No, me put it this way, addresses what is feeding the behavior. And then I feel this relief because it's a feeling thing. It's not always a rational. I have a clear picture or I can articulate this thing that happened before succinctly. No, there's a feeling tone. Yeah, yeah, that's the need to control for an abused child is high. It's a survival thing. So if this person that came into my class reminded me of some situation I was in childhood that was unresolved, we call that trigger. Okay. For me to know I'm triggered is the behavior. So I own the behavior. I'm controlling. Uh, nice deep breath. I intend to be compassionate. And I'm thinking about a specific guy that came in and I said something to him about, what we're here to do instead of what he was doing. And he said this sarcastic, passive aggressive, well, thank you, John. Like, and I was triggered at that moment. And then I go, oh no, wait a minute. And I kept going, what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? He said, thank you, John. And I just simply said, oh, you're welcome, and moved on. But that night I was going over it, and I thought, oh, okay. That was a thing about my control and being right. So I said, it is my intent to be compassionate. And then the thing the incident of him coming in the room and our interchange was no longer pertinent. What was pertinent to me was how to muster the compassion for this person who's come into the class struggling. So, I took what he said personal. It triggered something in me, which gave me the opportunity to heal something inside me, which whatever controlling thing that I intend to be compassionate. So now I'm being proactive. Okay, next time I see this guy, talk to him about what his experience was. I don't know. It'll come out because it'll be different next time I engage this guy. And I would like to tell you what happened. He came into my class early, the next class. It was a week apart. And he sat down and he goes, before I could speak, he goes, John, I just want to apologize for the way I acted in class the other day. He said, I could see that I was being disruptive. And people treat me the way I want them. That the next one is in line with this issue, is not the issue. He treated me the way I was asking him from my unresolved whatever it was. Instead of engaging and staying stuck in a loop thought, I have enough wherewithal to know, oh, 3 times it's me. And then this was resolved. Because the next time he came in, guess what? He treated me with compassion. Just my intent is to be compassionate. So he came back accountable for his behavior. I didn't have to say a word. So now the issue is not the issue. If I'm in a situation where the energy, the exchange is say a 5, and I respond in a 5 and move to resolution in the issue, then it's really not, there's no issue there. It's not an issue. So in other words, if I make it an issue, that's not really it. It's something underneath. If I engage somebody in a situation, an event that's a 5, at the level 5, and it comes to resolution, there's no trigger from his. So I'm lucid and in the moment. So there's no issue. As soon as I identify an issue, that's not it. There's something underneath. Otherwise, I'm moving through with grace, say through conflict. Let's say this guy came in and we were in an awkward moment. Oh, okay. And it resolved and we moved on. No problem. And I go home. I'm not thinking about it ad nauseum about how I could have, would have, should have, or what he could have, would have, should have. Okay, then this doesn't even apply because there's no issue. Once I identify an issue, that's unresolvable. Okay, what I'm saying is not there. That's a prompt, what we call trigger for me, not just me, to do some inner child work, so do some healing in that complex post-traumatic stress that has come up for my survival. It's a survival reaction: fight, flight, freeze, please. And for me, obsessive thinking is in the fight category. I'm struggling with this guy this and this guy this. Okay, so what's fight, flight, freeze, or please? It's an adrenaline state. Guess what happened to me as a child? I was in an adrenalized state. So my body says, oh, for me to survive as an adult, maintain that state. Well, I've done enough accountability and healing and work on that complex post-traumatic stress that I can now recognize body sensation, between the difference between emotion, feeling, and adrenaline. Adrenaline feels way different than a feeling. In this situation, I could have felt angry. That's a feeling of this is not okay. I'm going to move to resolution and set a healthy boundary. Nothing wrong with that. But this wasn't anger. It was I had to like say what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? Because I wanted to lash out or say something cutting or sarcastic or demeaning, and I didn't. I just okay. What did he say? What did he say? Thank you. He said you're welcome. I said thank you. Um, I'm sorry. I forget what it was. He said I'm sorry. He said thank you. I said you're welcome. And then I dealt with the unresolved trauma afterwards. Okay. I feel like I'm rambling now.
Well, the irony, so I have a couple comments, if you're open. The irony is that
Yeah, yeah. Please.
he intended you to feel that way. I mean, he intended to poke you, and and he had no idea how you would actually receive that. The
No,
only idea he would have had about how you would receive that is how he would have received it. So
correct.
so what's interesting to me in this case is that um, there's two, like you said, there's two ways. There's only two real responses. One is in my adult, these are my words, in my adult consciousness, I treat it as a problem to be dealt with. And my goal is to resolve the issue.
Right.
Or the other way is, as you said, is to ruminate on something of which I'm not yet aware, and that's wounded child territory.
Right.
That's something unresolved in me that has been reawakened in my consciousness by this behavior. I'm seeing out there something that reminds me of something that happened before that was never resolved, or
Correct.
that I brought into my defense mechanism as
Uh-huh.
a way of staying safe. And so
Right.
so the real issue, this is what we learn in this work, is we learn to notice that when I have somebody pokes me. So I had a situation this week where
Okay.
somebody set up a meeting with me, and I had to drive 20 minutes to get there, and the person didn't show up, didn't call, didn't say anything, and just flaked out.
Yeah.
And so and I actually did, I experienced resentment and fuming and, what's wrong with this guy? And because it wasn't the first time this happened. And I could feel resentment in my body. And so I've done this work long enough to go, okay, this feeling is not about that behavior. I mean, the behavior is what it was, but my wanting
Mhm.
to make it into a resentment poison in my body is mine. That's
Yeah.
on me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I get to then at that point go, all right, and I do the accountability tree. I feel the resentment. I feel that feeling, whatever it is, and then I get to say, what do I want? Okay, I want to let this go. I want to be at peace.
Yeah.
I want to keep a strong relationship with this person and go from there.
Right.
So the when we do this practice and we recognize that the issue is not the issue and we're willing to poke around inside ourselves to find out what the issue actually is, then we deepen our conscious contact with our most wise self, the self of us
Yes.
that is there for our good. And we do, as we talked about in the last podcast, we're doing reparenting.
Yes.
We're treating that little kid's my little kid's feeling of resentment, perfectly understandable based on my childhood and
Yeah.
experiences I had as a little kid, that were where I felt abandoned, left behind. I wasn't picked until last on the baseball team or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm still having those feelings based on something that happened in my current life. So
Right.
I was able to ask myself, what's the real issue here?
Right. I want to say, give some background that my ability to move through that in an evening. I used to get stuck on these loop thoughts for years.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody would say something to
Yes.
me offhandedly, and every time I saw him, this would come back up, and I go over it again and over it again and over it for years.
Me
It's like,
too.
oh my God, I handled that in a 12-hour period. And a lot of these that we're talking about that we don't talk about, I handle in what I call a step and a half. I go, oh, that take the breath. That's me. Excuse me. What did you say? I wasn't paying attention, and I just own my absent-mindedness or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Uh, and I can be embarrassed, and I'm not going to die. And oh my God, I was paying attention over here, and you were talking to me. I'll say it again. Would you be willing to say it again? And I can take care of it in the moment. This one particular thing took me 12 hours. The issue is there's something unresolved from my childhood that this initiated, we call it trigger. The feeling tone frequency of that interaction between that guy and me was similar to something that happened in my childhood where I did not have recourse and I was stuck with it.
Right.
So therein lies the beginning of this loop
Well,
thinking going over and over and over.
not only that, but here's why this is so cunning and baffling and powerful sometimes is
Yeah.
because not only did you have that experience once, you had it many times.
Oh my God.
After the whatever the initial one was, everybody has the first betrayal or the first abandonment or whatever. But now we're our defensive mind is now being programmed to see that everywhere,
Yes. Yes.
outside of something that comes in and gives us the grace to release that energy, to release the thoughts that come with that energy. We're now on alert for it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so every time something happens, even if the person that we're dealing with had no intention of having that happen, that's what we're experiencing.
Yeah. In the 12 step, what I learned to call that is we're in a hyper vigilant mode.
Yep.
We're looking out for that slight, that dismissal, that turn the back to raise the eyebrow, and we're going to take it personal. We're going to make sure that person doesn't do it again. Da 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 da.
Do you
We
have
don't know
that?
why the person
You
raised
you've had that experience. I
eyebrow.
mean, I've had that experience where just the slightest twitch of a person's face,
Yep.
a twitch,
Yep.
well, can cause an energetic reaction. This is how
Yep.
powerful these psychodynamics are, my friends.
Yep. 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 See, my reticular activating system memory stored this feeling tone in my body so that if it ever happened again, I could move to resolution quickly. But my moving to resolution was fight, flight, freeze, please. Those were the options I had.
Yeah.
And that's four things, but I usually say in any conflict situation in any relationship I was in, I had two options. I either hit it, violate, or leave, which now I have, I don't know, seven, eight, nine options. I have a choice. I can choose to, oh, notice I'm triggered or um, initiated. Something is initiated from my, oh, excuse me, let me take a breath here. Okay, all right, so where were we here? And stay engaged where before I would disengage.
Well,
Um,
I'd like to point out from a macro perspective that the
okay,
real issue almost always is fear of intimacy. The real issue it always has to do with there's something wrong here and I have to protect myself by disengaging from you.
yep,
Either, as you said, by a violent act upon you, against you, or
yep,
withdrawing away from you. And
yes,
this is this is this is so sad that this is the human condition that that little child that we once were, this little infant who came home from a hospital, this little bundle, tiny little thing
no,
is absorbing negative energy if that's what the family of origin produces, and is creating defense from the very beginning, such that we 60 years later, we're still running scenarios over in our head about how that person did this to us. And our default position is to create disruption in the relationship rather than,
yeah,
as you said, intimacy.
right,
And so I just point out that the accountability practice, when I'm willing to see what the issue actually is for me, that's an act of self-intimacy.
yes,
As we talked about last week, this is a way of reparenting myself, allowing myself to tell the truth about my behavior, my thoughts, my fears, my feelings, without blame or judgment, just to allow them to come to the surface. When they're come to the surface, they can be healed. They can be healed by just validation.
mhm,
And now, what you also taught us is that with that raw feeling now at the surface, I'm feeling that sense of resentment, for example, I can say what I want. So, do I want this? Because I already got it, so I can keep it if I want.
yeah,
Or perhaps I don't want it anymore. Perhaps I want
right,
something different. I want to feel calm. I want to feel loving. I want to feel happy. I want to feel confident.
mhm,
And so now I can essentially reprogram myself. So I intend to feel confident. I intend to
yeah,
feel compassionate
yeah,
whenever that happens, so that we get to the point by doing this practice like you did, within 12 hours, you were able to identify the real issue and to compassionately deal with it.
yep,
In the case of my experience that I was sharing with you, I was actually able to do that pretty much right away.
yep.
And and it didn't totally eliminate it. So I got to do it again 12 hours later.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And
No blame or judgment.
that's what we'll get in next time. Is people treat me the way I want them to.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole
Yeah,
that's separate enough that we don't necessarily want to get into that. We're running out of time anyway. But all
yeah,
of these
yeah. That's
principles
okay.
are all these principles, my friends, are related, and you might begin to get a glimpse of that. But we'll elaborate that next time. Next
Yeah.
time we work on the principles. So we're running out of our time together. So any last minute summary thoughts about this topic, John?
It is my intent. As a counselor or facilitator, don't see myself as a fixer, or I see myself as a person offering information to empower you to take on your own life. Um, it's empowering. When I take somebody through a accountability tree process, and they feel a relief and a sense of calmness or ease, and they see how they did it by, which is kind of crazy, owning a character defect or a violent act. I was dismissive. I just dismissed you. Oh my God. Then take a breath. And there's something relieved because that dismissal is prompted by an unresolved childhood trauma. So in the ownership of, oh, I just dismissed you, blame free, judgment free. I'm not blaming myself. I'm just saying the truth of what I did. That's validating something in my past as a loving parent that didn't get validated before. It got punished, blamed, ostracized, traumatized. And then I say, I intend to be kind, or I intend to be loving, or I intend to love myself through this process. I intend to love myself just the way I am. And then I find myself different. It's like, oh, it's demonstrable that something shifted, something
Right.
healed. I'm different right now in this moment. So, yeah. And it's simply information. It's not counseling or therapy or it's here's the process, and then guiding people through it and talking about it so that creating the safety and the space for them to experience self-parenting, loving parent.
Yeah, and just to draw a line under that, we do this work most frequently in a group setting,
Yeah.
so that we share with each other our experiences, our frustrations, our questions, our working through the issues, discovering the issue I thought was the issue wasn't really the issue, and then
Yeah.
and working on resolving the real issue. That's done in groups, and there are 4 intentional living group meetings every week, and they're all on Zoom. And information on how to participate or how to show up to one of those meetings is on a card at the end of the podcast. So I invite you to, if you haven't had the opportunity to see in action what John and I have been talking about, please feel free to join us. You can participate in the meeting, jump in the deep end, or you can just observe and you can keep quiet. You can even keep your camera off. We're just there
Yeah.
to, as
Hmm.
John said, we're there to share information. And
Yeah.
any way that works for you to absorb this information is cool with us. So
Yeah. The way I say it is observe what we do, see if there's any value in the information we're offering. And if there's value, come back. Come back. If
exactly,
you see the value. Yeah.
exactly. So with that, John, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to the next one.
You got it.
Take care.
You